Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. It's great to speak to you again. Getting into a bit of Singletown, episode 9, so we're almost there. We're getting towards the end of the show now. Now, normally at this point, I'm going to ask you, where do you want to start today? But for me, Chris, there is only one star of this show, and it's for all the wrong reasons. So can we start with George? And I know you've been fairly outspoken about him, so I'll give you a little bit of a rest, I think, because he's got me up and down in terms of what I actually think about him and how much, I feel sorry for him. Because one minute he's in tears, but then the next minute he's displaying some real vindictive behavior, when he's crying his eyes out. But then he's like, we spoke about it on the last episode, didn't we? That, he's specifically wearing the same shirt that he went on the first date with Sophie with, so that she'd recognize it if she watched the clips. And I just thought that was a dick move. Later, we saw that, she did see that clip and was in tears about it. But everything about him, it's like he kind of wants Sophie back, but it is his ego, and I think he's just everything he's doing seems to be in spite at the moment. What do you reckon?
Completely agree. I'm glad you started off about him. What's stupid is, and I do want to talk slightly about the whole experience of just human nature as well, which I think I've been absolutely fascinated on this episode, Dave, more than anything watching this. But what I would say is, he can't help himself, can he? He goes in Maureen and he's playing the game with her and all this. And he'd already said he was going to spite Sophie and he's going to kiss this blonde and you're going to see the video. And it's like, she wasn't even bothered, was she? I mean, she sees the video of him kissing because obviously it's a video day, really. But it's like he reveals himself straight away to not like Maureen. As soon as Maureen says, "Oh, I already know who Mason is," we hooked up on that sort of meet
That
and
was
greet.
so brilliant, though.
But he did. But he did. He revealed though that he was not interested in Maureen whatsoever, because then he was like, "Oh, we're done," and it's like, well, this was done like weeks ago when Sophie wasn't even with Mason, and straight away he's like, she needs to know. And I'm sat there going, I bet she fucking does. He's going to revel. Do you want, which shoulder you want to cry on, Sophie? Because I've got two here. That's all he's going to do. What a snake, Dave. I'm sorry. He's made himself look even worse for me.
Yeah, and the thing is, he said he's done, but then we see for the preview on the next episode, he goes on another date with her, but purely as like an information sleuthing kind of exercise, isn't it? So give me all the information. But honestly, Chris, I was crying and I've been dying out, for the last couple of episodes. I've been feeling a bit, like it's been getting a bit stale. But honestly, I was crying when it came out that she'd snogged Mason. And he was just like fucking absolutely gutted. And again, part of me does feel sorry for him, but the way he's been, it just makes it even funnier. And so, yeah, I still feel a little bit sorry for him, but fuck me, that was funny.
And you're right, though, because Maureen was having none of it. It's like, oh, fuck, you don't give a fuck sort of thing. If you're going to be like that, it was a meaningless kiss. I'm single. And she was right what she was saying. She's like, I'm single. What is your fucking problem? Completely agree with her. Also, it's the what I love, Dave. It's the delusional fucking state of him when he's going, right? She don't know what she's lost. And I'm like, what are you actually offering that she can't get with this Mason? This Mason could be a player. And there was a couple of little comments in this episode. He said, I'm going to staying over. And she's like, wanting a spare bed. And, he was a bit
Yeah,
too
I didn't like
cocky.
that.
I'm sort of wondering whether he is a player, and George could be right, but it's when George is going, and I'm sticking to what I said about Emily, Dave. I know I've slated Emily and Joel yesterday, but she does not like fucking George one bit,
Yeah.
and she should be sticking up for George because he's part of her crew, and she's like, well, she's an 18-year-old girl, she's happy, she's found something. I'm like, she knows that he's a cop. You can't do it. He can't force. He's going, well, she needs somebody like me, and it's like, but she obviously doesn't, because you won't be on this show if you fucking did, mate. I mean, he's brilliant. He's absolute David Brent comedy gold. He's completely delusional. And you're right, Dave. It's been a real slow burner. And there has been times the last episode I'm like, fuck me, we've talked about openly on the show. Today's episode was my favourite because it was just exactly what we want. A bit of drama, a bit of, oh dear, bit of cringe. And I absolutely loved it this episode. This is my favourite one by far.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. But I do think without the whole George thing, it would still be a bit stale. But I do think he's just the star of the show just because he's so uh, animated, I guess, and just yeah, it's really interesting to watch. Now, what else picture tickled your fancy today?
What I found, Dave, was watching them all watch the videos. Now, I can only say, hand on heart, the only couple who I don't actually think have done anything wrong by one or each of either, they've not snogged anybody or whatever, is Rob and Claudia.
Yeah,
Now, Rob was playing it all cool, like he's not interested and all that at the start of this, the series. And then he genuinely realizes he's fucked up. Now, Claudia's right. She said, yeah, he said all this before. He needs to give me more affection. She watched the VT videos. I think with them two, absolutely, I've got no problem with what's going on. She's trying to find herself. She feels that the relationship's gone stale. He's not giving the attention that she deserves. And obviously, hopefully, he's realizing that there's something there. But every single other couple, one of them has kissed someone. So obviously you got Jeremiah. Selling's then trying to do the same. But I do think it's very similar. It's like real life. Selling likes David, but she knows that once she kisses him, it's all over between her and Jeremiah. And this is where I think when we said yesterday about them being together, this is why I just think they're going to get back together, because we've got like the heart ceremony in the next episode. But it's when people have cheated, like Sophie, as much as what we're saying about George. Sophie has openly kissed someone else, but she's crying that George is kissing Maureen. She's like, it's because of the spite. But it's like, but you're telling us 2 episodes ago that, and to George, you want him to be happy, get with someone else. I don't understand the logic, because you're enjoying yourself. And it seems to be everyone else, like we said, everyone else can cheat and do whatever the fuck they want. But once they see their ex-partner doing it, they all spit the dummies out. And I find that fascinating, whether that's just like we'd say, is it just in human nature to be like that? Do as I say, not as I do. Because as an experiment, it's unbelievable, because every single person is pissed off, watching it. And I think sometimes you're all hypocrites.
yeah. I mean, the first thing you mentioned there, George and Claudia. Claudia seemed really triggered by how chilled
Yeah.
out George was and sort of remorseful he was. So again, I've said pretty much from day one, I don't see what George has really done wrong. Now, he's saying he hasn't been affectionate enough on the outside, but from the first episode, all I've seen is him taking on all the responsibility for the problems in the relationship. So I don't know if he's a reliable narrator in this case. Honestly, it just seems to me definitely Claudia is enjoying herself, and she doesn't want to she doesn't want to leave Singletown for sure. But I don't know. I just can't read what has really happened, because it looks to me like he's just the submissive part of that partnership, and she's going to do what she wants. And I can't remember which date it was, but she's sort of nudging Selling along, and trying to get her to you know, make I guess make the first move. Because if Selling does something first, then it kind of means she's got a free pass at it and she can do it as well. I don't know. I'm not really warming to Claudia, to be honest. I don't really know where she's coming from.
No, I agree, Dave. I do agree with that.
Yeah, and sorry, who was the second one you were talking about?
Oh, sorry. So you've got them. I mean, one of the comedy moments in this episode has got to be Megan's date with the 6'10" basketball player,
Fucking
Dave.
hell.
That was fucking comedy gold. I mean, the guy comes in. Why the fuck would you take your shoe off? You're telling me you're 6'10", you've got big shoes. He's basically saying to her, and that's the only thing I've got big. And he's showing her his
It's
shoes, and I'm just
basically,
like,
it's in lieu of being able in the middle of a public place to go zip fucking lob.
yeah, exactly. It's just like, and I think Rob and that had called out what he said before. Oh, by the way, Dave, he called it Claudia and George. I was losing you. It's actually Claudia and Rob. But
Claudia
I've
and
just
Rob,
realized,
sorry.
yeah. Sorry, no, because
Yep.
I'm thinking, what the fuck's George done now? I've missed that. But anyway,
George is all over the place.
he's in everyone's relationship. But no, I think Megan, there's something there, like she said, in her eyes, which is completely fine. Nat's a 10 as far as she's concerned. I mean, this guy had nothing. I must admit, when she fucked him off, he was like, I'm chilled. Yeah, I'm chilled. He fucking
Fucking hell.
wasn't. He obviously must get his own way, that guy. And,
Yeah.
pro basketball player. The first thing he said to her, the impressive stuff. All he needs to do is get his six pack out, and he's like, she's got a full sweep with the narcissist in this guy, So I think she did the right thing, but I also think Rob was right when he said, I don't understand what she's doing here, because she's being so sort of standoffish. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I've got to be honest, Dave. I don't like Nat one bit at all. I do not like this
He
guy.
is a player, isn't he? Every
Yeah.
episode that I see just validates what I originally thought. And I think, why is Meg there? I think she is there to try and sort of save that relationship, I think. But I don't
Yeah.
think he is.
No, he don't give a
He's just
fuck,
going to
Dave.
enjoy his time there and fill his boots.
Yeah, he is, and it made me laugh when he said he's got the chat. Him and George that double date, and he's
Yeah. No,
I've got
you
it all. I'm sorry, mate. Yeah,
No,
friend
the
zone.
thing is, he is a beautiful looking man, isn't he, Chris? So, and we've seen him be on several dates. He hasn't got the chat at all, but he's such
No,
a good looking bloke, and he's got the fucking body and everything. He doesn't need the chat a lot of the time, but it is
no.
funny to watch when people delude themselves like that. But no, I mean the basketball player, yeah, he was proper triggered, wasn't he? He did not like that. The
Oh,
fact that you got this little pint-sized girl saying she's going to walk all over you, and he got the proper ump. And he just fucked off, didn't he? I thought
yeah.
that was really fucking funny.
It was ace. He just went, well, that's it then. See, it must be
Yep,
the
no,
shortest
I'm
day you've
done.
ever seen. It was,
Yeah.
it was
But
no editing.
it's come back to me now. What the second thing you were saying? You were saying about Jeremiah and selling. You
Yes.
know what? Out of everyone, Jeremiah, and we've been sort of saying it's going this way, but he has been on the biggest growth arc out of everyone, hasn't he? You know, again, whatever his reasons are, from going out there and being a bit of a flirt and not being that arsed, and Selling's obviously she knows she's been cheated on multiple times, and he's just not asked at all. I think the reactions to the videos, I think show he does really have deep feelings for Selling that maybe he didn't know were there, and so that was interesting. But what I thought was interesting later on, so Selling hasn't kissed David, even though it's very clear she wants to, but she chooses not to wear any underwear on the date.
Yeah.
Mixed signals.
I yeah, and she tells him that as well, doesn't she?
Exactly. It's not just avoiding a panty liner sort of situation. Don't fucking tell him.
I find, I must admit, Dave, the last couple of episodes, and we've all been team selling the whole way through. We've called Jeremiah out because he's behaved, especially kissing Emily in the first episode. But as it's gone on, she's become more and more bitter about everything. I mean, she had a doing that. I think Nat was out of order. I don't necessarily think it was her fault. He
Oh,
just
he
was
was
like,
totally out of
just being
order.
a,
He was
yeah, just
saying
being
like
a dick.
you're fine being walked all over or something like that, wasn't he? And again, he was just being a bit of a dick there.
Yeah, there's no reason. I mean, and all it was is she called him out. She didn't
Yeah.
say anything bad. She was just explaining what was going on, and straight away he got nasty with her.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with Selling is she was so honest about, like, saying when David was going and she hugged him and she said, "Look, I've never slept with anybody else other than Jeremiah. I don't know. You think about what's it going to be like being with somebody else, blah blah blah." And I get that. And is it more the intrigue of, like, because for 7 years she's only been with this one person? Does she need other partners to find herself and just realize that Jeremiah is the guy or whatever? And I think that's where her head's at. But I do think she's very, very slapped arse at times. It's like she seems really, really like within herself completely. Like she might be suffering some sort of depression. To be fair, might be cutting her a bad picture of her. But I think I'm getting a little bit tired of her acts now. It's like go for it or not. And I'm really intrigued to see with them two as a couple what happens at the Tomorrow's Heart ceremony, because that's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, it definitely will be because I think I was surprised about her reaction because again the clips I do have to say, Chris, I think the Singletown people are a lot more forgiving in the clips that they show. As opposed to something like Temptation Island, they definitely always show the worst possible clips, whereas in Singletown, I don't think they do. Um, but yeah, I thought Jeremiah did not a lot wrong, and the people in the flat were saying, weren't they? It's like, oh, he's just saying that. He's just sort of being polite and stuff, and but she still went off on him. She was like, "Oh, fair enough. He's thinking about me, but it's just not enough." And it's like, yeah. So I kind of see what you're saying. But from going from a position where I didn't think they could possibly stay together, I think they definitely could.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I'm sticking by that, Dave. And I also think Rob may get let down. I think he wants Claudia now more than ever. And
Yeah,
maybe he's grown as a person. But I do think, and I said this a couple of episodes ago, Rob's very good at judging people. Like when they were watching the videos, and one thing I said we do want to talk about, and he was right. He was saying about different couples. He was saying about George, didn't he, changing and flipping and that. And he was dead
yeah.
honest about that. But Charlie and Elliot, Dave, let's talk about that. I mean, Elliot was saying that when Charlie gave him a kiss, I just want him to come and give me a kiss. But there is something there with Mason, and he's talking to Claudie saying, "Is there
Mason,
really?"
is it fucking Mason into into
Oh yeah,
into Elliot as well? Fucking Mason gets everywhere.
he's a player, Dave.
He fucking is, isn't he? He's had the whole cast. He's been on Joel and Emily as well.
Hang on, I've lost it
It's
now.
Mitch, isn't it? Elliot and Mitch.
Mitch, I knew it was an M. Sorry, Mitch. So he says, doesn't he, about Mitch? He says, "Can do I need to sort of go back to Charlie, or and then I've got something I feel special in such a sort of space of time." Easy for me to say, but it's one of them where there is something there, and they both said they love each other. Charlie was like, I do love him. I've missed him, all that, but. Again, obviously, we get a preview, Dave, and they showed the video. I mean, Elliot wasn't that bothered about Charlie kissing that guy. And then later on, he said, look, it felt like it was just wrong. I feel guilty.
Yeah.
They weren't that bothered. So I think there's still something salvageable there. But however, the preview for the next episode shows that Elliot is definitely filling his boots with Mitch. So I don't know how the hell that's going to play out.
I don't know either. Again, so Elliot and Mitch had quite an early connection, didn't they? And seemed to really get on. And then Charlie's been sort of on different dates, not properly connected with anyone. But whenever he'd see or think about Elliot, he was this hot blubbering mess. Um, the way that they've kind of grown individually, that I can't call it, Chris. It could go any of four different ways. This, they could get together, they could both stay in Singletown, or one or the other will possibly want to leave tomorrow. But again, for these, at one point, I just thought, you know what, I think at one point in this series, I was just thinking, I can't see any of these couples staying together, and that included Elliot and Charlie. But with the way that they're talking, I think there could be something there, but I wouldn't put a pound on it any other ways, to be honest, Chris. But like I say, I think they could possibly now.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting one, though, Dave. Really interesting one. And I think Charlie was right. I love Charlie when he sat there with us. I think it was Sophie and Claudia, and he was slating George. So he said, I hate him. It's like, come
Oh
on,
yeah, yeah, he
Charlie. I
properly
love
fucking
that.
laid into him, didn't he?
Yeah, I love that.
But again, he could see through what was going on there, even though he doesn't know the whole history of, George had specifically picked out that shirt and everything. You know, he could read what was going on, and he was just being quite spiteful. So good on him for calling it out.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think one last thing I would say is the situation with Mason, not Mitch, Mason. I'm a little bit worried because Sophie seems all in, absolutely
Yeah,
all in. And I've just got a feeling that she may be getting a bit of, not because of this situation with Maureen, I just think in general, because like we said just before, there's something today reared its head in a couple of his comments. And I'm like, oh, don't do that to her. She seems like such a lovely girl.
Oh, George will absolutely. He said right at the end of the episode, didn't he? He's gonna at the heart ceremony. The first thing probably he's gonna blurt out is that Mason's been, putting it about. So
No,
he cannot wait.
no.
And I don't know if he's just doing it out of spite or if he kind of wants, to be there for the shoulder to cry on, like you say. I don't know, but there is no way he's going to keep Sturm, and he's going to rub her face in it.
No, I agree. I agree. And look, at the end of the day, that's not exactly a way to win your girlfriend back, is it?
No.
So I don't think, even if Mason is playing her, she's had a bit of fun. If it doesn't work out, she still needs to stay away from this guy, as far as I can see. I don't see any reason that they would stay together now at all. There's no endearing qualities to him at the moment. He just seems really petulant, really childish, and she definitely needs to grow. She's only a young girl. She needs to grow for herself.
Yeah, and yes, not yesterday, last episode, we were talking about whether, whether he's going to just recognize it, let Sophie go, and then enjoy his time in, I keep wanting to say in the Villa, Chris, or Love
Yeah.
Island, in the flat, and go out on different dates, maybe try and meet a few different people. No, he's. It looks like he's just going to go all in, and he's going to put all of his energy into not necessarily trying to win Sophie back, or kind of trying to win her back, but not necessarily in the right way. So, but like I say, probably the best episode of the season so far, and long may it continue on that track.
Yep. Yeah, as long as it stays like this, I'm going to be very happy, actually, Dave. Very, very good. One thing I haven't said the last couple of episodes, guys, if you want to contact us on Twitter at cdrealitycast, if you want to email in, get the emails in. We love your opinions on the show. We've had some cracking emails over the last few months, as well as always. cdrealitycast at gmail.com. That's cdrealitycast, not CD, as I was told, Dave. At gmail.com. And if you want to like the show, if you do like the show, get onto your podcast catching up and drop us a review. So, Dave, thank you very much, my friend. And we are powering through the season now. So I think we'll be on episode 10 before you know it.
I hope so, because I can't wait to see what happens at this rose ceremony now. So, yep, I'm going to get straight on it.
Good man. Right, well, we'll see you all next time.
See you next time. Bye now.